Hi, welcome all to the online classes for Introductory Computer Fundamentals. I'm Mukesh Bhardawaj. Here, on the last time we had started the introductory part of the computer fundamentals related to its memory, input, output devices. Now, the classification of computer, we are going to start with the classification of the computer. The aims and the objective, the course, to understand fundamentally the general scope of the computer system, to interact effectively with the computer, to know the uses of basic components of the computer, to manage the system to some extent before involving an expert, to know some basic things about the computing and the world. Because as we know that today era is the digital world, and in this digital world the computer put a revolutionary change, and without the help of a computer nobody is going to uh, work or just cope up with the world scenario. So computer as a revolution left no area of the life untouched in the present world. It is of tremendous help in all field of life, and the knowledge of computer is necessarily for existence of everybody in this global village. The invention of computer has transformed our simple manual works to sophisticated life of automated works to meet the global demand for the higher productivity and increased efficiency with high precision or with high accuracy. Computer is increasingly become compulsory in nearly all fields of studies, as we had seen that. Not because of anything, but its accuracy and versatility in processing data. Many tasks at home or office are being automated rapidly with computer. Thus, it becoming apparent that in whatever discipline or working sector, the computer is now a very vital tool for efficiency, improvement, and precision of job or task execution. This is designed to meet the prerequisite need of everybody that are interested and wish to know about computer science and computing in general. A computer is an electronic device operating under the control of instructions stored in its own memory. These instructions tell the machine what to do. The computer is capable of accepting data that is input, processing data automatically through the processor or through the automatic logic units, and logically produce the output from the processing and storing the results for future use. Most computers that sit on desktop are called personal computers. We had already discussed the various type of computers: mainframe, supercomputer, and desktop computer. And the desktop computers are all almost called personal computers. The computer is an ensemble of different machines that you will be using to get your job done. A computer is primarily made of the central processing unit, referred to as the computer. The monitor, the keyboard, and the mouse on pieces of hardware are commonly referred as peripherals. In everyday life activity, we process data or encounter cases of data processing. A typical example of data processing is the generation of statement of student result from the mark score in an examination and continuous assessment. It is essential to know that the information is as good as the data from which it is derived and the transformation process which they are subjected to. Meaningless data or inappropriate processing produce wrong information. Thus, computer gives you results corresponding to what data you supply and how you process. That is garbage in, garbage out. Now, summarily, the intelligent performance of computer depends on correctness of input data and the intelligence performance of human being that derive it. Now, classification computers are available in different shape, size, and weights. Due to these different shape and size, they perform different sorts of job from one another. They can also be classified in different ways. All the computers are designed by the qualified computer architectures that design these machines as their requirements. A computer that is used in home differs in size and shape from the computer being used in hospital. Computer act as server in large buildings, while the computer also differs in size, shape, performing its job as weather forecaster. A student carrying a laptop with him to his college is different in shape and size from all the computers mentioned above. Computers are classified as follows: supercomputer, the biggest in the size, the most expensive in price than any other, is classified and known as supercomputer. The uses of the computers are in many ways. Business computers are used to track inventories with barcodes and scanners, check the credit status of the customers, and transfer funds electronically. Homes, tiny computers embedded in the electronic circuitry of the most appliances control the indoor temperature, operate home security system, tell the time, and turn video cassette recorders on and off. Automobiles regulate the flow of regulate the flow of fuel, thereby increasing gas mileage. They also entertain creating digitized sound on stereo systems or computer animated features from a digitally encoded laser disc. Different industries also uses this huge computer, that is supercomputer, uh, for designing their products. In most of the Hollywood movies, it is used for animation process. The kind of computer is also This kind of computer is also useful for forecasting weather reports worldwide. Before proceeding to the next type of computer, if I'm just talking about the history of the computer, since the creation of the man, a significant amount of human activities has been described to organizing and processing information so that it could be more easily presented for easy comprehension. Many devices have been used in the past before Edward of the computer. It is necessary to vividly look into their evolution. Early computing machine abacus. Have you all heard about the abacus? Napier's bone, slide rule, Pascal mechanical calculator. So abacus around 2500 BC. This is a handheld device device made of beads strung on rods in a frame. The rods corresponding to positions of the digits, while the beads corresponding to the digits. Napier's bone, around 500 BC. This was invented by John Napier. This consists of small rods with appropriate marking on them. It is a mechanical aid to computation that consists of nine such rods with one each digit through 9, 1 to 9. He also invented logarithmic, which made possible to do division and multiplication by performing addition and subtraction. Slide rule, around 1600 AD by William Aughard. He invented in 1622 but announced it in 1632. This consists of rules on which marking represent logarithm of numbers and also permits calculation involving exponents, trigonometric functions, etc. And many more are there. In summary, the history of computing began with analog machine. In 1623, a German scientist invented a machine that could add and with aid of logarithmic tables, multiply and divide. Since then, the development has passed through a lot of stages, such as invention of punch cards to program patterns to create woven fabrics by Joseph Marie Jacquard, a French inventor in 19th century. So now the mainframes, another giant in computer after the supercomputer is mainframe, which can also process millions of instructions per second and capable of accessing billions of data. This computer is commonly used in big hospitals, airlines, uh, airline reservations companies, and many huge companies prefer mainframe because of its capability of retrieving data on huge bases. Minicomputer. This computer is next in the line but less offered less than mainframe in work and performance. These are computers which are mostly preferred by small type of business, personal colleges, etc. Personal computer. Personal computer is mostly preferred by the home users. These computers are lesser in cost than the computers given above and also small in size. They are also called PCs in the short for personal computers. This computer is small in size. Today, this is thought to be the most popular computer in all. Notebook computers. Having a small size and low weight, the notebook is easy to carry to anywhere. A student can take it with him or her to his her school in his her bag with his her book. This is easy to carry around and preferred by students and business people to meet their assignments and other necessary tasks. The approach of this computer is also the same as the personal computer. It can store the same amount of data and having a memory of the same size. Now, if I just want to give about the generation of computers, the history of computer development is often referred to in reference to the different generation of computing devices. Each generation of computer is characterized by major technological development that fundamentally change the way computers operate, resulting in increasingly smaller, cheaper, more powerful, efficient, and reliable devices. First generation computer in 1940-1956, vacuum tubes. The first computer used vacuum tubes for circuitry and magnetic drums for memory and were often enormous, taking up entire rooms. They are very expensive to operate, and in addition to using a great deal of electricity, generated a lot of heat, which was often caused the cause of malfunctioning. First generation computers relied on machine language to perform operations, and they could only solve one problem at a time. Input was based on punched cards and paper tape, and output was displayed on printouts. The UNIVAC was the first commercial computer delivered to a business client. It was used in the 1951 US Bureau census. Now, as we know that second generation computers in 1956 1963 basically based on transistors. Transistors replaced vacuum tubes and unshared in the second generation of the computers. The transistor was invented in 1947 but did not see widespread use in computers until the late 50s. The transistor was vast, efficient, and more reliable than their first generation predecessors. Second generation computers still relied on punch cards for input and printouts for output. Second generation computers moved from cryptic binary machine language to symbolic or assembly language, which is allowed programs to specify instruction in words. High level programming languages were also being developed at this time, such as early versions of COBOL and Fortran. These were also the first computers that stored their instructions in their memory, which moved from a magnetic drum to magnetic core technology. The first computer of this generation were developed for the atomic energy industry. Next. Now, as the personal computer, type of processor, booting of computer, warm and cold booting. And after that, we are going to learn about some more few generation of the third generation, fourth generation. As the third generation was introduced in 1964, 1971, and basic basically it is based on integrated circuits or IC chips. And the fourth generation computer, as we all know, introduced in 1971 till to present now, and they are based on processor or microprocessor. So before starting to the third generation or getting the knowledge about the third generation or review about the third generation, fourth generation, we just get through this slide. The personal computers, what are the type of processors, what is the booting of computer, warm and cold booting. So a personal computer is any general purpose computer whose size, capabilities, and original sales price make it useful for individuals and which is intended to be operated directly by an end user with no intervening computer operator. This is in contrast to the batch processing or time sharing models, which allow large, expensive mainframe systems to be used by many people, usually at the same time, or large data processing system, which required a full time staff to operate efficiently. A personal computer may be a desktop computer, a laptop, tablet PC, or a handheld PC, also called palm top. Software application for personal computers include word processing, spreadsheets, databases, web browsers and email clients, games, and myriad personal productivity and special purpose software. Modern personal computers often have high speed or dial up connection to the internet, allowing access to the World Wide Web and wide range of other resources. A PC may be used at home or may be found in an office. Personal computers can be connected to a local area network either by a cable or wirelessly. While early PC owners usually had to write their own programs to do anything useful with the machine, today users have access to a wide range of commercial and non-commercial software which is provided in ready to run form. Since the 1980s, Microsoft and Intel have dominated much of the personal computer market with the Wintel platform. The capabilities of personal computer have changed greatly since the introduction of the electronic computers. By the early 1970s, people in academic or research institutions had the opportunity had the opportunity for single person use of computer system in interactive mode for extended durations, although these systems would still have been too expensive to be owned by a single person. The introduction of the microprocessor, a single chip with all the circuitry that formerly occupied large cabinets, lead to the proliferation of personal computers after 1975. Now, types of processor. Before proceeding to the types of processor, if I give the review of the third generation, which was in 1964 to 1971, the development of the integrated circuit was the landmark of the third generation of computers. Transistors were miniaturized and placed on silicon chips called semiconductors, which drastically increased the speed and efficiency of the computers. Instead of punch cards and printouts, user interacted with third generation computers through keyboards and monitors, an interface with an operating system, which allowed the device to run many different applications at one time with central programming or center program that monitored the memory. Computers for the first time become accessible to mass audience because they were smaller and cheaper than their predecessors, that is second generation. Now, if I just give the brief review about the fourth generation computer, the microprocessor brought the fourth generation of computer as thousands of integrated circuits were built on single chip. What is the first generation filled an entire room could now fit in the palm of the hand. In 1981, IBM, the oldest or the masters of computer industry is IBM, introduced its first computer for the home user. It is the only company who introduced the computer for home user, and in 1984 Apple introduced the Macintosh. Microprocessor also moved out of the realm of desktop computers and into many areas of the life as more and more everyday products began to use microprocessor. As these small computers became more powerful, they could be linked together to form networks, which eventually led to the development of the internet. Fourth generation computer also saw the development of graphical user interface, the mouse, and handheld devices. Now, as of now, the time is of fifth generation 5G computers, and the fifth generation is basically nothing. It can be say that present and beyond, that is totally artificial intelligence. Fifth generation computing devices based on artificial intelligence are still in development. True, there are some applications such as voice recognition that are being used today. The use of parallel processing and superconductors is helping to make artificial intelligence a reality. Quantum computation and molecular and nanotechnology will radically change the face of computer in years to come. The goal of fifth generation computer or computing is to develop devices that respond to natural language input and are capable of learning and self organization. So, this is all about the history of the computers. Now, as of now, we had discussed about the fourth generation, which is totally based on the processors, or has moved on to the microprocessors. So, types of processor, if I'm talking about the type of processor, the central processing unit or the processor is the portion of a computer system that carries out the instruction of a computer program and is the ordinary or primarily element carrying out the computer's functions. Basically, there are two types of processors which are manufactured by by companies, and they are Intel and AMD. Now there are a number of varieties available in both Intel and AMD. These are the some lists given by the Intel and AMD for their various processor And in current scenario or in present situation, Intel Pentium dual core, Intel Core 2 Duo, Pentium Duo, Pentium dual Core 2 Duo quad, Intel Pentium 2 dual core processors are widely in the use. And AMD processors include AMD Athlon, AMD Athlon 64, AMD Athlon X2, AMD Athlon XP, AMD Duron, AMD Sempron, AMD Turion, AMD Optron, and AMD Phenom. First, moreover, there are various processors offered by various companies like Macintosh processors. In other words, different processors are used for different types of technology. Now come to the booting of computer. The literal meaning of booting is power on. Power on of computing. So it is of two types, warm and cold booting. The booting of computer is the process of powering it on and starting the operating system. Booting loads the first piece of software that starts a computer because the operating system is essential for running all other programs. It is usually the first piece of software loaded during the boot process. So, operating system is the first piece of software. When you power on the computer, then your operating system is initially start to load, and the process of loading that operating system is known as boot process, and sometimes is called hard boot or cold boot. So cold boot is the process of starting a computer from a powered down or off state. So cold boot is called a hard boot. Warm boot refers to restarting a computer that is already turned on via the operating system. As you had seen that some of the time your computer got hang up while doing the some task or while performing some activity on the computer. So at that time you need to go for restart the computer. So to restart the computer through the command by pressing Alt Control and Delete simultaneously, in that case your operating or the window or the operating system is not going to be loaded. It is already loaded. Okay, but some application hangs up during some activities which are going on or which are going to the computer. So to avoid that disturbance, we restart the computer by a command or restart command, and that command is through the software itself. So this type of starting on or restarting is known as warm boot. So warm boot refers to this restarting a computer that is already turned on via the operating system. Restarting it returns the computer to its initial state. A warm boot is sometimes necessary when a program encounters an error from which it cannot recover. On PCs, you can perform a warm boot by pressing the Control, Alt, and Delete keys simultaneously. On Macs, you can perform warm boot by pressing the Restart button. Now, computer viruses, worms, and vaccines. So, moving forward to this topic, that is computer viruses, virus, or in general, we usual language we say that if the some activity is not performed by the computer or some program is not performing any proper task in a computer, so we generally used to say a word like that, it is infected by a virus. So, what do you mean by the viruses? Worms. And here the vaccine means the antiviruses. So, computer virus is a small software. Here the word software introduced. So, before moving forward for the definition of viruses or computer viruses, I just give want to give some small brief review about the hardware and software. Hardware is the term given to the physical components of a computer. Example: keyboard, monitor system, CPU, or floppy disk drive. Software, on the other hand, is electronic information, files, operating system, graphic computer programs are all example of software. The difference between the hardware and software reflects duality between the physical and the mental worlds. For example, your brain is hardware, where your mind is software. Software is the stuff that makes your computer to do things for you. The computer without software would be like would be like a home entertainment system with no tapes, CDs, or movies. You have the machine, but there is nothing to play on it. Software is continual, continuously developed. Each time the software maker, Microsoft, Adobe, Corel, etc., are some companies which develop the softwares, develops a newer version of their software. They assign it a version number. Before Microsoft Word 7, there was a Microsoft Word 6.0.1, and before that, Word 6.0. The larger the developments made to the software, the larger the version number changes. Usually, a large change will result in a whole number upgrade. A small change may result in tenth of decimal place. Hardware are those components or physical pieces, things you can touch, that make up the computer. The different pieces of the computer hardware are monitor, speaker, mouse, CD-ROM, floppy disk or drives, hard drives, keyboard, CPU, RAM, processor, etc., PCI cards, which each piece plays a role in the operation of computer. And whatever the different parts we had discussed, they are having their different or different uses, different parts of computer and their uses. The standard computer consists of monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, and the system unit. One can attach accessories such as printers and scanners by means of ports. Increasingly in the workplace, computers are connected to printers and other computers are means by means of network. So we had already discussed about the hardware and the softwares. Now, as the word occurred, software in the terms of computer viruses. So I broadly want to say that viruses are nothing. They are small programs or software programs. What we used to call or why we used to call that it is infected by virus. For example, if you are doing the work on a computer through some software or a particular software, suppose for example if I'm listening the song in a computer through some software like Winamp, and some of the time my Winamp is not working properly. Initially it works properly, but after some time or some um, whatever the task I had done, and as some external memory devices, when we are just going to connect through the computer or the PCs from the external sources, or by through the means of the internet, a small programs get introduced in your PC, and wherever they find their utility in different programs which are already installed in your computer, they get introduced within the program of that particular software. And as they got introduced, the working of that particular software get disturbed, and the task of that particular software is not going to perform promptly, and we say that this program or this file especially is corrupt by the virus. So viruses are nothing, they are the small programs which are introduced in your genuine softwares. So computer virus is a small software program that is designed to spread from one computer to another and to interfere with computer operation. A true virus is capable of self-replication on a machine. Virus may be spread between files or disks. There are estimated 30,000 computer viruses in existence. Over 300 new ones are created each month. First virus was created to show loopholes in software. Today, almost 87% of all viruses are spread through internet. 87% of the viruses are spread through the internet because the hackers or the some intruders make some programs or small programs, um, and want to, and they upload their programs on the internet, and as and when you just connect your PC through the internet, and when you search for any website, at that time, whenever you just open some sort of any link related to your search, and the false links are uploaded created by the intruders, or as you open that link, they get entered or they got the path to enter in your computer, and they try to find a suitable software where they can introduce themselves to interrupt your files and create the disturbances. So 87% of all viruses are spread through the internet. So my advice is that while assessing the internet, operate or open the genuine site, not the fake sites, because genuine sites are the reliable. They are not going to introduce any sort of viruses and do not harm your program files which is already located in your, or which is already uploaded in your computer. As computer are of two types: analog computer and digital computer, or not broadly two types: analog computer, digital computer, hybrid computer. So the types of computer can be of any type depending upon the use. So I'm talking about the viruses. We had gone through the definition of viruses? Now, symptoms of virus attacks. How you are going to identify that the particular program or the particular file or the programming or the not your computer is not working properly. So the basic symptoms of virus attacks is just, if I'm talking about that, what are the symptoms of fever, or what are the symptoms of not the fever, what are the symptoms of some particular disease. So the symptoms of some particular diseases, if I'm talking about the coronavirus, which is uh, running right now. So in the first wave of coronavirus, I come to hear I come to hear about the some symptoms of coronavirus, that a slight fever comes to you, cough, cold, and the fever is repeating, and it reaches to the pyrexia, that is high fever, and you lost the senses, you lost the taste. So these are the some symptoms of coronavirus. Similarly to that, computer virus symptoms are: computer runs slower than usual, computer no longer boots up, screen sometimes got flick or flicker, speaker beeps periodically. If you run some audio or some video file, then the output through the speaker comes like a beep and in a periodic fashion. System crashes for no reason. Some of the time you find that system goes shut down without any reason. Files, directories sometimes disappear, or denial of services. Denial of services means that when you are want to access any file, it will not going to open up. When you are going to do some tasks through your computer, the task cannot be performed. These are the known as the denial of services. So viruses are very dangerous. Always try to make your computer prawn free from the viruses. Now, types of computer viruses. The well known types of computer viruses: one is the Trojan horse, requires Windows to work. Once infected, runs in the background. Worm, spread over network connection. Worms replicate. Macro, specific to certain application, comprise a high percentage of the viruses. Email viruses. An email virus travel as an attachment to email messages, and usually replicates itself by automatically mailing itself to dozens of people in the victim's email address book. Some email viruses don't even require a double click. They launch when you view the infected message in the preview pane of your email software. Worms. A worm is a small piece of software that uses computer networks and security holes to replicate itself. A copy of the worm scans the network for another machine that has a specific security hole. It copies itself to the new machine using the security hole and then starts replicating from there as well. Worms use computer time and network bandwidth when they replicate. A worm called Code Red made huge headlines in 2001. Experts predicted that this worm could clog the internet so effectively that things would completely grind to halt. A worm usually exploits some sort of security hole in a piece of software or the operating system. For example, the Slammer worm, which caused mayhem in January 2003, exploited a hole in Microsoft SQL Server. Worms normally move around and infect other machines through computer networks. Using a network, a worm can expand from a single copy incredibly quickly. The code red worm replicated itself more than 250,000 times in approximately 9 hours on July 19, 2001. Protect computer against viruses. To protect the computer against viruses, we need to gain the knowledge about viruses, or we do the proper configurations of antiviruses, and we run only necessary programs. And first and most important, that is, whatever the antivirus software you had uploaded to protect your PC from virus attack, periodically update online through the genuine site of that particular antivirus. So you can protect your computer against viruses by following these measures. Now, vaccines or antivirus software is a computer program that detects, prevents, and takes action to disarm or remove malicious software programs such as viruses and worms. Newer viruses, worms, and other threats are created by cyber terrorists and discovered every day. So updating antivirus software is periodically mandatory. List of some top antivirus programs which are very useful to users. Norton, developed by Semantic, confidence in a connected world. AVG free edition. It's provide real-time protection, execution of files and programs. It features a small email scanner, virus update, and viruses vault for secure handling of the files which are infected by viruses. The base version for Windows is free for private and non-commercial use. McAfee, Kaspersky, ESET, Not 32 antivirus, Avast, Home Edition, a free antivirus solution for scanning disks, CDs, and emails. So this is all about the today's topic. Thank you. Thank you all.